Alright, what's up, y'all? We're gonna start this one off talking about. I know I focus on mental illness a lot. We're gonna talk about mythical creatures. Like, creatures y'all might have heard of, stories and fairy tales. I'm just gonna talk about this right now. I know it don't really have nothing to do with mental illness, but maybe it do. I don't know. Cause growing up, I had my mom, homeboys, old homeboys. My mom telling me about some of these mythical creatures. I think I mentioned it in an old video that I already put up, but I'm not sure. She says she seen a half centaur, half horseman, centaur, whatever. I ain't believe that shit, but like ghost and the ghost thing, I thought they was just telling me that shit to scare me or whatever. And she said that, like, for real, like, she said they had a ghost in that house where my grandma used to live, and his name was Sam. You'll see the couch cushion indent when he sits down. He used to fuck with them a lot. Like, they said they'd feel him touching on them and shit like that. They used to tell him, get away, go away, leave me alone. But he was like that friend. They said that was that friend. So I don't know. I don't know nobody with the name of my family, so I thought they was full of shit until one day I was in that house. And this was about I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. And I had the brand new, it was Christmas time. We in the basement, because that's where we used to go to play our video games. I had my brand new Super Nintendo. And I had the newest game station in the family, so you know how that feel. You the man. Everybody wants you to spend the night so they can play your shit. But this time I decided to go home, and I ain't kid because I'm like, shit, I got the new game system. They want to come with me. They want to spend the night at my house. My cousins and shit. So my mom was like, you can't leave that here. You gotta come. You gotta take your stuff. So I go to unplug it. And you know, we old school, we gangster. You know how old school gangster houses look. You got the big TV and then the little TV on top of that motherfucker. The big TV ain't supposed to work. The little TV, both the TVs work, but some houses, the big TV on top of the, on the little TV on top of the big TV. That's what I meant. But we didn't use the little TV. We wanted to play on the big TV. You know what I'm saying? It was an old, one of them floor model TVs, like a floor model. Meaning that bitch was heavy. So we hook it up to there because we're like, oh, it's going to look better on here. It's a big, this is before, this is, I told you, 94. You go back and see how the TVs used to look. So we, yeah, y'all ain't really see a hiccup. Just a hiccup or stopping real quick. Daddy duties. So we was talking about the old TV. So yeah, we had the big TV and then the little TV, but we wanted to play on the big TV. It still worked. It was just sitting down there and nobody watched it because it wasn't that clear, but you could still do what you're gonna do on there. So I had my game hooked to there, plugged into the wall. My uncle was going through his little thing with the same thing I'm dealing with now. But he was going through his. But I didn't really understand it at the time. So we didn't get scared of our uncle when he went through that, because he was always our favorite uncle. He used to draw pictures for us, and he's a really good artist. He used to make fucking drums out of wood and make a bongo. This nigga made a fucking bongo, whatever they call it. They be beating and shit. He made that from scratch out of an old piece of wood. Used to do shit like that. But yeah, I had my game hooked to the TV, so my mom told me it's time to go unplug it. So I'm unplugging my stuff, and while I'm doing that, I had my game already unplugged. The TV just turned up by itself, and you could see it. Like, the TV is one of them old digital TVs that had numbers on it, but you could see the volume, like it had a volume bar. You could see the volume bar from where we left it to when I was unplugging my shit with the TV on and plugged in, going all the way this way by itself, and then it hit infinite, like 0. So we're like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? My cousin seen it. He ran upstairs. He didn't even come back down. So we like, what the fuck was that? Like, why I just do that? Ain't nobody press no buttons or nothing. That's baby. Go ahead, take it. So I said, fuck this shit. It won't turn down. It wouldn't turn down. In the same house where I said my mom seen a ghost in. So I unplugged it from the wall to make the think that shit go cut the fuck off. That shit did not cut the fuck off. It stayed on the snow screen, cause you know when you unplug shit, turn it off. You know you see the snow screen, the black and white snow static. It was that shit. So I ran upstairs too. She like, you get your game? I'm like, nah, come downstairs. This shit ain't cut off. She like, y'all lie. I said, come look at the plug. I just pulled it out the wall. So one of us came down. She seen it. She was like, what the hell? Well, y'all better figure this out. I said, figure it out? What the hell kind of shit is this? I said, what the hell is this? Like, the shit did not cut off at all. It was still static snow. So I plugged it back up, tried to do it again. It ain't work. It ain't cut off. So the third time I tried it, it worked. I unplugged it, tried to turn it off with the button. The button ain't work. So I just pulled the plug out and it cut off. And I was like, what the fuck was that? That's not the first or the last experience I had with some type of electronic thing going haywire in that house. I remember when I was younger, we had, let's see if I'm testing y'all age right here. We had MyPow, I don't know if it was MyPow Buddy. It was a robot, a clear robot with a clear face. He used to throw a ball. He'd interact with you. That was like one of the first toys to interact with you. We had that at my grandma's house. My grandma, before she got sick, we spent the night that night. And I spent the night and I had mine. My brother had one, but he went home. So I left mine on the table. I turned it off because you got to hit the switch to turn it off. I turned it off. She used to stay up a little late back then before, like, you know what I'm saying? Before she got sick with her, she used to stay up late. The shit, I guess, freaked her out because it started making noise while it was turned off. So she was like, how you turn this off? I said, Grandma, what's wrong with you? It's off. She said, no, it's not. That thing was just talking. And I was like, come on, Grandma. It was not talking. It's off. She wasn't lying. Shit, that motherfucker toy started moving by itself on an offset and talking. She got so mad. She was like, don't bring that little devil worship shit in my house. Take the batteries out that motherfucker. That's what she said. Take the batteries out that motherfucker. Nah, fuck turning it off. Take the batteries off. So we had to take the batteries out. She was scared. I laughed at that. I didn't really think that was like any paranormal. I didn't understand the back then. I was too young to understand how spirits move. Because even after my cousin had died, I told you, like, when I was like 16, my mom's TV, my mom's radio, his mom and my mom, because I used to spend the night over there on the weekends where his mom lived, and I used to stay at home during the weekdays. The whole week of him dying, my mom radio used to turn to a specific station by itself and turn up the volume all the way to as high as it could go. She sleep. So we hear it. Me and my brother, we run to the room. Why would you turn on the radio? Is you laying on the remote? Is you laying on the remote? Remote sitting right on the fucking counter. Or her bed set, her headset. So she be like, what? No, I ain't do that. Sometimes I had to wake her ass up. It was happening for like a whole week. Like he was trying to get in contact with us for something. I'm young. I don't know nothing about this spiritual shit. I'm 16. I'm young. I just thought that shit was weird. It'd cut on, and then you could hear the station switching. Like you actually hear the station switching, and they go to the same station every time. No lie. My brother he'd confirm that every time. So other than those experiences, I had some more, and I had other people tell me theirs. But the ghost thing, I don't know if that was ghost spirit. I mean, my mom told me several times she used to, when my grandma actually died, she used to see her at like the day she died. She came to the edge of her bed, and I was like, and I told her, because I was into that. I wasn't into it yet, but I was always a curious kid. It's just when I found the spiritual information, it was like finding candy as a kid that no one knew about. You know what I'm saying? I thought no one knew about this. Like, how am I finding this stuff? This stuff is real. Oh my gosh. So I indulged into the spiritual information, and like these things started to happen a little later. Like I had a better understanding in it. So let's go over these mythical creatures, cause I'm curious. Put it real quick. They got the dragon. You hear about the dragon a lot. I remember one day I was at work, and I'm walking. I'm doing my duties at work. I was working for a dealership, transporting cars, but I'm going down to the workstation because it wasn't in the same building as where I worked, where I actually was stationed at. So I see this thing in the air, and I ain't noticed it at first. I ain't noticed it until, you know how you outside and you see like a bird that's real big and it's close to you, and it casts a shadow with the sun. But this motherfucker was high as fuck, and it was so huge, it cast a shadow from the sun, and I ducked down between cars. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And it had like a pterodactyl tail. It was bony. The wings was not hairy. It was like a lizard. So I'm like, what the fuck is that? Tail swinging in the air and all that. So I'm like, what the fuck? I was no one around me at that time. I was so pissed because I just passed where all the people stand outside, so to see if they seen it. So I'm looking at, I'm like, was that a fucking dragon? It looked like a fucking dragon. It looked like something. I'm not pulling y'all legs. So that was my experience with that. And my actual mom seen some shit while they was sitting on her balcony one day. She seen some shit fly past. She said the shit ain't have no feathers or nothing. It was big as a fucking. It was bigger than an average bird. It was like, was it a pelican? You know what I'm saying? No, but it had a long ass beak or whatever. Or unicorns. I don't really have no experience with no unicorns. And if it is a unicorn, it's probably some cross species type shit. people playing with nature. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Might be true. You know, they want you to believe in unicorns and all that. I don't think that shit is all totally false. But I don't really. If I ain't see it, I don't believe it. Okay, the next one I'm gonna talk about is a mermaid. A mermaid. Okay, I know y'all seen that video on YouTube a couple of years ago about the mermaid. It was like a reptilian type of figure with webbed feet, webbed hands. I thought that video was fake. I don't know. It looked fake. I mean, if they could CGI some shit, they could CGI some shit and make some shit look real anyway. But I don't know. That could have been real. Like, that could have really been a fucking mermaid. I understand you know the Dogon history and all that. See, I don't really want to talk about. That's why y'all don't hear me going in on stuff, because a lot of people already talked about this stuff. I'm just playing piggyback, and I'm not going to piggyback too much because y'all heard a lot of this stuff before, so I don't really have to like explain it. It should be a given. Like, I'm just telling you my aspect of it, and I really don't want to do that, but I'm just going to talk about it through my lens. I'm not trying to make it seem like that shit is crazy, but I'm trying to make it seem like, yeah, that was some shit. And they got werewolves, and y'all know the famous werewolf from Twilight. A lot of y'all like Twilight. They had and on the werewolves, there was a blood pack, a bloodline, like a bloodline, a blood pack. That was supposed to be. That's what represented as the little shark boy dude playing like a that was like supposed to be like a family lineage of what he represented in that movie. It traveled through the family, so that's why it was going through hitting all his ancestors, and he ended up becoming a werewolf. And you know what I'm saying? It's other people that break down what that werewolf stuff is. Okay, and fairies. Right, that's next. Fairies. Fairies, I believe in fairies. It's a movie on, I don't know if it's on Netflix. There's a documentary, Gateway to Fairies. You know what I'm saying? Gateway to Fairy. I think it's just Gateway to Fairy without an S. Panic had recommended that, and I watched it, and it was a little girl in it, and like the older dude was trying to do a documentary on it. He had to get, like, he basically said you gotta get permission to see them, and they the nature thing. Like, when you see the grass grow, like, watch it, go to YouTube and look up flowers and stuff grow, and plants and trees and certain things grow, and high speed motion. Like, they'll take like a whole week, and then show, like, you would see the actual thing like swirling around the fucking plant or whatever, the flower, and you will see that. That's some interesting shit. So let's go to the next one. They say the Sphinx. I'm not gonna go into the Sphinx. Clamia. I don't know too much about Clamia. I heard of it, but I don't know too much about it. Let me click on it real quick, see what it's talking about. It's from Greek mythology. A fire-breathing, half-hybrid creature composed of different animal parts from the Lycaena, Asia Minor, is usually depicted as a lion with the head of a goat. protruding from the back, and the tail might be the end of the head of a snake. I don't know if I think I have seen that depiction of it before. It said right here, similar is Hydra. That's interesting. I'm gonna take more of a look into that. I mean, I know I probably heard of that. The Loch Ness Monster is the second one. I don't know. That shit, they tried to debunk that, say that was fake. But they got videos all over the place of these long reptile creatures, reptoid type creatures in the waters. That's real big, and they prey on the people in certain parts. Like they had a story come out, said it's a dinosaur, like a brontosaurus or some type shit in Africa. I don't know how true that is. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know a lot of us grew up on Monster Quest. I think it was called Monster Quest. I think that was the name of the show. It used to come on the Discovery Channel. Something monster something. And they used to have like the mythological creatures and talk about it, but when they set up cameras, they don't find shit. They probably just hiding and shit. Let me go to the next one. The Griffin. Alright, the Griffin is the a legendary character with back legs of a lion, head of a winged of an eagle, and talons on his feet. So you know they use the Griffin in a lot of things. You will see it pop up here, and you will see, like, you go to like certain buildings and stuff, you will see like a Griffin statue or some shit. Cause it's just like a show I used to watch when I was younger. They used to say, cause I watched this documentary 2 days ago. They used to show a picture, like a statue. Like you used to always see this. Like it was a show called Gargoyles. So at night they come to try to protect the people of that particular thing from the evildoers or whatever. Gargoyles was a good show, and I think the voice of the guy was, I wanted to say it was Keith David, but I don't think it was Keith David. But I could have sworn he was one of the gargoyles or some shit. That fucking voice, I don't forget his voice for shit. So, I can't remember if he was one of them in there, or I just remember his voice being in there. But gargoyles, like, you will see a lot of these statues of these griffins in a lot of buildings. Like, the significance in that, I think it was, some of these mythical creatures was real. I think some of them, like, y'all gonna be like, this nigga lost his mind. No, like, I already lost my mind, so what the fuck? I'm just talking some shit. But I'm just saying, like, look up, check into some of these mythical creatures. I'm gonna go to the next one. Okay, just like what I was telling y'all about earlier, the centaur. The centaur, it's from a Greek mythology, the half man, half horse. And you got the head of a man and a torso and body of a man, but it has feet like a horse. And I heard somebody else talk about something about these creatures was the abominations of what man was doing at that time. And that's why that so-called flood had came, because they was mixing DNA and all this. I don't know how true that is, but yeah, I heard that. I heard talks about that. I don't think it's all wrong, because they don't even know too much about history, so we don't know if that shit's right or wrong anyway. But I know, like, see, when I was listening to the white scholars about certain parts of Egypt, when they was talking about it, they would say, oh, it's Horus had a bird head. It was people on the earth with bird heads. It was people on the earth with heads like the jackal that you could find in South America. That's where that actual thing came from. The bird head, Tahuti, and horse, and all that. And like, we don't know how true that is, but at the same time, I looked at it like that stuff was symbology. But who knows? I mean, it might shit. That shit might have been. It might have been some people. Like, everybody talk about all these extraterrestrial beings, and I'm pretty sure people had dreams about motherfuckers that look like different motherfuckers. We just can't see them. You know what I'm saying? But you never know that maybe they was here. I'm not here to lie. I don't know. If I knew that shit, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I did know that shit and tell y'all like, yeah, that might be true. Nah, I don't know. That's some crazy shit though. Alright, let's go move on to the next one. I'm just talking, you know what I'm saying? Alright. The next one's the Yeti. Alright, y'all know the Yeti, they call him Sasquatch, Bigfoot. That one I kind of believe in a way. Because when you think about the Lucy and what they say, this is my personal opinion. When they talk about the half man, we all come from Lucy and all this, but Lucy, if you look up what Lucy was, she was not a Homo sapien sapien. She was not a Homo sapien sapien. And they say we come from her, so she was like a hybrid creature. But then they say white people come from that Yeti. White people was cavemans and Neanderthals. I was listening to Ron Hayes today, and he's hitting on it. He was like, why the fuck y'all keep saying this shit? That white people was Neanderthals if they came from us. Because if they came from us, how the fuck would they be Neanderthals? What would be, the Neanderthal would be a different type of species. Because if they come directly from us, and y'all saying they look like this now, so y'all basically saying you believe in evolution too. Man, I don't think it goes that way. If they was made from our DNA, they wouldn't be degenerate to the point of a Neanderthal. And if you got more evidence, I'm just saying, if you got more evidence to prove that they can, okay, knock yourself out. But I'm just saying, if they come from us and we already man, how would they look like a hybrid man? I understand they play with animal DNA. That's what they said. They play with animal DNA. I don't care. Honestly, I really don't give a fuck about that. That's why I'm about to skip that one. I never seen one. Alright, I'm excited about this one. Go to the next two. Leprechauns. Watch American Gods. He says something in the movie. And I'm going to bring this to a point. Something that the Duke of Tiz was talking about. Alright, he talked about leprechaun. Watch American Gods, and when the leprechaun described, he was like, what the fuck are you? He said, I'm a fucking leprechaun. He was like, laughed at him, but he said, what the fuck? You ain't no fucking leprechaun. You taller than me, motherfucker. But he was basically saying, yeah, you think of the myths of what we was. We weren't small, but you know, he was chasing that gold coin the whole show damn near before he got murked. The myths on the leprechaun. Pay attention to what he looked like. He was a pale skinned, red head, because that's what I brought up Duke of Tiz for. Duke of Tiz said that white people don't like redhead people. And I think the redhead was the Irish. They was more connected to us, and they say they more magical. And by him saying that leprechaun thing, they kinda like fit in that way with them. That leprechaun thing. I'm gonna pause this for a second. Hold up. I'm gonna go to the next one when I come back. Alright, the next one is gnomes. And I can't remember who the hell what it was talking about gnomes. I just listened to that shit. Oh, Brother Yosef. Check him out. I don't know if I shouted him out, but I needed to. Because he talked about the red hats. And you know, gnomes always have that red hat. But he broke down something. He was talking about Rahabs. I never heard that shit before. I heard the shit about the gnomes, but he was talking about how they're like creatures or whatever, and they have red hats, and the red was from the blood from their victims or some shit. I don't want to misquote him, but check out that check out his channel. That was interesting that I heard that. So they said the gnome is a mythical creature that numerative spirit in Renaissance magic and alchemy. First introduction by, I don't know, in the 16th century. And later adopted by recent authors. Well, the gnomes. It's a video on YouTube. I used to watch all that creepy shit. You actually see these motherfuckers just standing there, and they look like little statues. This was in another country or some shit. And all of a sudden, the motherfucker got the fuck up and started walking, but he was bow-legged as fuck. I'm like, that's just a little midget. But the smallest this motherfucker was, that wasn't no goddamn midget. I'm sorry for offending anybody by saying that N-word, but he looked like a small person. But he was so fucking small, like a statue, like a... It was funny as fuck. Look it out. Check it out. Look up the next one. Pegasus. Pegasus is the winged horse. That was from Greek mythology. I heard people say that Medusa... Get the ball. Hurry up. Get it! Run! Get it! Get it! If it go on the street, it's gone. Yeah, I gotta find a way to edit to get that one out. My daughter playing around with balls and rolled in the street. She did shit on purpose. So, Pegasus, I heard like some people say Medusa was Pegasus after Hercules killed Medusa, and then she became Pegasus. Kind of connected like the Phoenix in a way. You watched the old Hercules movie, the cartoon, the animated series. I can't remember. I gotta go back and watch that because I watched that as a youth, and I gotta go back and check that out. You know, Medusa was the black woman with the dreads. You know what I'm saying? The next one is a ghoul. Is a demon-like being of monstrous humanoid. The concept pre-Islamic Arabian religion. Associated with graveyards, consumption of human flesh, modern offering term to label a certain type of creature. So it's like a zombie. Look, I'm gonna show y'all. Y'all can see that. See words. This what I guess it was. So it was like a zombie. But this like come mostly from, they said the Arab countries. Pretty sure it was some real history of those beings or those creatures going around. You never know. We're gonna go to the next one. I don't know too much about that one. Imp. I guess that's IMP. An imp is a European mythological creature similar to a fairy demon, frequently described in folklore and superstition. They perhaps derive from the term YMPE and used to denote a young grafted tree. So I guess it was like a tree because it looked like a tree bean. So, looked like a tree. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. The next one is a Basiquus. It's like a serpent. It says it's from European doctrines and legends. It's like a reptile, which to like a serpent king causes death at a first glance. Something like Medusa, because Medusa was sort of like a snake. She had the snakes in her head, so I guess they saying like, if Medusa's the female version, well, this I guess would be the male version, but it looked like a snake, like a dragon. The next one is a troll. I already made this video too long. See, the trolls come from the Nordic stuff. Most people say, oh, the Nordic stuff is the white people stuff. I think that's like Germany, over there in them areas of the Nordics. Y'all know the Nordic shit, the Thor shit, Nordic Thor and all that. Iceland, giants and whatever. But that's where the troll came from. And they say we was these beings, and we probably was monstrous looking before we got our form, because they say we've been on this earth for a very, very long time. So we probably was some of these beings. I mean, it's people that do readings about this stuff. I just found out about that. Like, they'll tell you what the hell you was that far back, what kind of being you was. Like me, I told you I had a cousin, and he called himself a certain name, and he was totally connected to that name, because when he came to me in a dream, he had them animals around him. What he called himself, and they looked exactly like the animals that we had in our house. Well, in that house. That type of breed. Alright, let's see what this next one is. This thing is sort of like a dragon. It's called a manticore. Manticore. I never heard of it. It's like the Sphinx. Basically, it's a Sphinx, but it had the tail of a scorpion. I'm gonna skip that one. I didn't hear too much about that one. I gotta sharpen my game up a little bit. Man, I'm telling you, I studied most of this stuff, but I was more focused on the occult information in my study. I got off of the myths. I should have been studying all that together. I kind of was, because I was using the myths to break down like the connections in between the stories of the different religions. So like, it's like you heard one, it sounded like one, you kind of narrow it down so they talking about the same thing, but they're just using different attributes, because that's how the culture in that area went. Get what I'm saying? I'm talking about like deities and gods and shit like that, creatures, and I'm not gonna go through all these because I think it's a lot. Oh, I found something. Alright, they got the merman in here. I'm gonna go to that. Not right now though. The next one is the pixie. It's funny to say that was concentrated in how moorland areas. Moorland areas? It's a Celtic belief. I don't really see no pictures on it. So I think the pixie is just like something like the fairy in a way. Like, you know, you heard the word pixie dust and all that shit. So I guess the fairies for nature, the pixies for something else. Alright, the next one. Hippogriff. It's a lot of bird-like creatures with wings, with bodies like horses. It's like a winged griffin. This one is like a turtle. It looked like a ninja turtle. Kappa. It's a Japanese myth. A human-like beings with webbed hands and webbed feet. Turtle-like thing on their back. And I guess it pulled people down out the water. Like a turtle-like being. So it's like a reptilian. See, from the story of the Nomos and what they used to say back in the day, that we was like reptilian-like beings. We all got a reptilian brain, so y'all know about that. The next one is the sea serpent. I know a lot of y'all know about the sea serpent. It's the dragon from the water. I'm not really gonna. It's in Judo, Mesopotamia, Judeo-Christian, and Greek and Norse. So these stories is probably from the people that used to sail in boats and see these big creatures in the water. Or the merman is next. I guess would you say Aquaman is a merman? All of them white, of course. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I keep turning that way while I show the camera. It's a merman, but he has a body of a fish. Feet of a fish, the body of a man. All of them white, of course. And let's see the next one. I'm not going through all these. There's only a couple left. I'm gonna go to this one. I'm skipping hippocampus because some call it hippocampus. Don't we have something in our mind, the hippocampus brain or some shit? The I could have sworn I heard that like we have a hippocampus brain, or hippocampus part of our brain. This is from the English and Greek and Roman mythology. It's a seahorse-like creature. It's a seahorse. It looked like a seahorse, but it's bigger. And y'all need to check out Rod Hayes, because he break that down about that the Anunnaki. And he said the female leader was like a seahorse. I don't know if he said that was Anan. I can't remember the name of what he said it was, but I don't want to come on here and sound like I'm super smart to y'all. I could be super dumb because it sounds like I don't really got answers for this shit. But I kind of know a lot about it. But it's a lot of people already breaking it down. It'll be a point for me to waste energy to break stuff down that y'all should already know, especially in 2022. It's a lot of speakers out here, a lot of people talking about it. I just came in for the mental illness part of it, just to break down certain parts of the mental illness. I'm not done with that. I just wanted to do this video to put up something interesting, and I'm gonna go back and start breaking down my mental illness videos. I got videos I haven't even put up yet. So yeah, I'm gonna end this right here. It's only a couple more I can go over, but I'm gonna end it right here. And then give y'all something to think about.